And a huge well done again to all the organizers for putting on together this fantastic 3-day event. Your efforts are all well appreciated. Thank you, my leaders from Nigeria. Thank you, Dr. Ivy, my mentor, composition plan guru. I watch you from a distance and I just love everything about you. Thank you so much. And as they informed today, it's been this weekend meeting you up close and personal, and it's been really fantastic. Thank you, sir. And the training we've had so far, I think, has covered everything. You will see a lot of repetition. This is a training. I didn't come with my slides, but I did this team building last year, and I briefly said, well, I'll reuse the slides because it's applicable to the topic I've been told to talk about. But Dr. ID has covered a lot of ground, and as the informed you has covered, the key things that I want to touch on. Maybe I will just emphasize a few things about team building. Might be repetition, but for emphasis, we'll just go through it. Amina, please go on. We'll try and keep it short. I know that time is fast spent, and we'd love to take your questions. And so please keep going, because we've seen how we want to earn in Longrich. We've heard it's all about the PV. And to me, keeping it simple is really important. Understanding the business as a basic foundational level. What is it about? Why does Longrich pay us? Because people always wonder, is it a scam, is it Ponzi, is it this? How come they pay me all this money? Dr. Isaac said it, as the informed said it again, it's all about the PVs. It's all about the PVs. We have to keep increasing the PVs. We have to keep generating PVs in order to get paid. It's not a charity. They're paying us for a reason, and it's money that we've earned one way or the other, either direct efforts, like what I shared, or indirect by our team building. So the part I'm emphasizing now is about the team building, which is about our leadership and other whatever. So, team building and duplication strategies. For me, I cannot talk about team building without talking about duplication. It's my pet or my favorite thing I talk about all the time. People in my team will tell me I always talk about duplication because it's something I got very early in the business, and that helps me to grow. So I like to emphasize on it. So I'm just going to share quickly about the role of mindset, how to create duplication in your business, the role of leadership, common challenges, and how you can overcome them, and how we're doing this because started this role. So before, mindset is everything, and I think we've talked about it already today. One of the things that I caught when I first started was I met two leaders in the UK. I went to a training like this. It was SDU Deme and Golibe at the time in Milton Keynes. And I was just 2 weeks into the business, and they shared their personal experience. But that so inspired me because I could see up close and personal two young ladies who have done something with the business that I thought, wow, so it's possible for anybody to do it, because I only saw one head on them, not two. So I got the idea that if they can achieve this level of success, and we have so many success stories across Africa. There's this latest, young Carolina I saw the other day is able to pack full an auditorium with 2,000 people. I always wonder, so how did they do it? The question I ask the person is how, because I want to know, and I don't need to spend the next 10 years, 5 years trying to understand how. All I need to do is ask and then piggyback on what's been done and just repeat, rinse and repeat, and I'll get the same results. And they've always said network marketing is about monkey see, monkey do. So copy and paste is very much allowed. So the mindset is key, because we're going to get challenges. There are times that it's going to be so discouraging. I'm standing in front of you as someone who has been discouraged because I have a third leg that is struggling. So, and that can be discouraging. You have no leaders, despite your best effort. And I think at any level, all leaders can resonate with this. It doesn't just happen to Diamond 1s or Diamond 2s or Diamond 7s. I'm sure our SD will tell you also have challenges, and on some days they'll feel really frustrated and thinking, oh, the results are not commensurate with the effort. But do we stop? Never. Because if you keep a why, it's already shared by that just now. Understand why you're in Longrich and what makes Longrich worth pushing forward for. So from the very onset, the idea that we don't have authorship, that I don't have to sell. I encourage selling, and I have sold as well, but fundamentally, I don't really have to sell to make money from Longrich. I can just do team building and I get to earn millions of pounds, not just of naira. And that's really powerful, because I have and build is part of my, biggest wife, my little daughter who is here with me today. At the time I signed up with Longrich, she was just less than 1, and my commute was 4 hours every day. So I'm full from work. Now it's different because I work from home, but then we didn't have COVID, so it was before the COVID era. And my biggest why was our flexibility. I waited for her for 12 years, and I didn't want to, she's going to start primary school, and I don't need to see how to teach her, how to be with her at home. So one thing was, if I can get something I can do, get decent income, and be able to spend more time with her and her siblings, I'll really be happy. So my why was really key. So mindset is really important. You have to believe that you can do it too. And that's the success in Longrich. Starts with the mindset. You must believe that you too can get the same skills and knowledge required to succeed. Because I didn't know anything about network marketing before Longrich. So it was a whole new territory for me. But I learned along the way and I applied what I learned to get the results I got. So let's keep going. Please, thank you. So you have to arm yourself with knowledge. I did mention that continuous learning is everything. It really is, and I really stress that a lot in my team. We have to also learn some negative perception about pyramid skills, which is very different from network marketing, because the minute you mention network marketing, most people are thinking Ponzi. They are thinking pyramid. They're not thinking about network marketing because they don't understand the concept of network marketing and how it's different from a pyramid or a Ponzi. They always think they're the same. And for me, I think I probably thought it was the same too. But I learned it wasn't. It's very different. It's a genuine, life-transforming business opportunity. So we need to understand, and as you're learning, if you're applying it, you're going to start earning. So I tell people, you train and you earn. We can keep going. So training, that's why I love attending training. So keep going, please, Amna. So the key part I want to focus on today for the short time I have is duplication. And I learned from traders like Rick Worry and other long leaders that, without duplication, we don't have a business, you just have a job or something, There's no sustainable business without duplication. You will continue to put in so much and see very little results for your effort, and after a while, like Dr. Ali said, you're going to crash out. You get burnt out because how long are you going to keep going by yourself without that frustration coming up? After a time, it's going to just get burnt out. So let's break it down. Let's go. So what's duplication? I went and I got the dictionary. I'm not going to bother reading it out. Basically, I think we all understand what duplication is about. It's about duplicating yourself. We are not duplicating followers. We are duplicating leaders better than yourself, which is why I get excited when I see my leaders doing great exploits. This year, I haven't qualified for the CAF yet, but I have leaders in my team who have already, because they've been trained and they're duplicating. And I like to put it, you begat yourself. You have to, otherwise you don't have a business. We can go on. I'm going to fight through it. So duplication is probably said that in network marketing, it doesn't matter what works. You can have all the knowledge in this world and you can be doing all the right activities and you know it all, but if you haven't taught anybody else and nobody else is doing it in your team, you don't have a business yet. So it doesn't matter what works, it only matters what duplicates. So we have to make our systems as simple as possible. So the topic is about, how do you grow, you start local. So when I started, I'm going to just teach about team duplication. The principle is the same for me. I didn't have a deliberate strategy or I'm going to branch into many countries, but one of the things that attracted me to Longrich was the fact that they were in different countries, and I thought, oh, fantastic. I have a huge network in America. I have a huge network in Nigeria, where I'm from, and of course in the UK, where I live. So I'm going to tell everyone I know about Longrich. That's how I started. I just caught the fire that, oh, it's about PVs. The more I share, the more I'm going to earn. And everybody that I also bring in, I'm going to help them to earn. That's about duplication. So I earn, and I bring in people, and I teach them all I know without doing anything. Without keeping certain things to myself, trying to duplicate the same result that I have in my team, and that's basically how I grew, by telling people the closest to me. For a while I didn't tell Flo, like I said yesterday briefly, she was on my chicken list. I had the chicken list, but I went all out to build and share information that I had with everybody I was bringing in, and I started duplicating myself. How did I duplicate? By training. And when I say by training, when I learn anything, if I read a book, GoPro, or whatever book it was that was recommended, I'll come and share tips with people in the WhatsApp group. When we have free trainings, in 2020, COVID then happened, we had lots of free training from different leaders. I'll make sure I get people to attend with me, not just by posting it in the WhatsApp, I will call them. So I'll call people. I might call 10 people, 6 or 5 will show up. But they will show up and we'll all get the same information and the same excitement and go back with that buzz. And I think someone was saying it was also about leading from the front as a leader. And that's one of the most critical first steps of duplication. I don't feel I can tell people go and read GoPro if I haven't read it, or go and read the first year network marketing if I haven't read it. So from that very beginning, all those books that I asked, I asked Golibe, how did you do it? She told me, have you read XYZ books? I said, I haven't read those 3 books. You haven't started. I was 2 weeks in. I went back. I had a very hectic schedule at work, but I started to read those books. I most started reading 3 in parallel at the same time because I wanted to get the same knowledge that they had to succeed. So that's the same thing I tell my team now. When you come in, we give you the books. You might not be able to read all at the beginning, but try at least read GoPro. If you can't read it, can you listen to the audiobook? And you can listen to it on the go. You can use your commute time. I used to use my commute time for training, going in the morning and going in the evening. I'll listen to audiobooks and all of that. So duplication is about knowledge transfer and be willing to handhold your newbies for the first few months as they get to grips with the new business model. A lot of people get confused and they stop doing the business because they think they can't figure it out. It's too hard. So that first few weeks when they are new it's a window that we have. And onboarding, I've discovered, is probably, as important as prospecting, because if you don't onboard people well, they lose that initial fire and excitement. It's difficult to wake them up. So you just get them a buy and leave them. They don't understand what they need to do, the next step and the next step. In their first week, what should they be doing? In their first month, what should they be doing? So if they don't understand it, they're going to fizzle out and you can never get them back. So you have to be selfless, you have to teach everything you know to your team. I've said that before. And do not carry other partners on your back. You have to empower people to do what you know how to do, no matter which country they are in. So our business, the beauty of it, that you can use Zoom, you can use WhatsApp 3-way calls. I will be to the US and I started, but I managed to raise it. I'm on 6th leader in the US without necessarily visiting this country. How? Because we use technology to bridge the gap, and we all can do the same. The SD Madagascar. I'm trying to remember our SD. The South African country.
Mokome.
No, not Vivian Mokome. She's another SD Stella. Yeah. She didn't visit Nigeria, but I think it was SD that recruited her all the way in Mozambique. Mozambique. She didn't need to see each other. So you can raise global SDs without leaving your base. Just do the same thing that you're already doing. You get a new member, support them with WhatsApp, support them through Zoom if you need to. If they have prospects, help them to close. That's the most difficult thing people have. They can reach out to people, but they cannot close. So that means at the time I was doing almost daily Zoom calls for my team members. They will have prospects. I'll jump on the Zoom with them, and I was doing that cycle over and over again. Through consistency, we managed to build them up and get them moving as well. I'm waiting for the next slide, sorry. Yeah. So I repeated things about learning from our leaders and uplines. Collaboration has been mentioned quite a lot already. Not competition, be a team player, and leading by example. We mentioned that engage new members, help them to settle in, encourage training, and you yourself, you can't see people go to training and you don't show up. So you have to always lead from the front. Whatever it is that you're wanting your team members to do, don't be the boss. Like Dr. Ali said, that's why I said there will be a lot of repetition, because it's the same principles that we're talking about. Don't be a boss, be a leader, and you're trying to raise other leaders. So you can't say go and do X and you're not willing to do X times 10. You have to put in more effort than anybody else in your team. If you're not the most hardworking person in your team, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So anything you desire in your team, do that by a ratio of 10. 10x their efforts and you get more results. Let's keep going. I'm going to just fly to because of time. So for me, leadership and duplication are the same thing. Duplicating yourself, whether locally or globally, is the same principle, because the minute you're able to duplicate and raise leaders in another country, Tutu has been independent for me for, I supported her for the first few months and did all the things I needed to do. But now, when she first started, we're talking every single day. But now, we're in the same family group because she's a family member, but we don't talk Longrich every day because she's independent and she's able to grow because she understands the intricacies of the USA market even better than I do. So she supports her team, she's able to grow her team. So I think everyone needs to have that mindset that you're raising leaders in whichever country. Help them to navigate the initial logistical differences that they might be, because the stocking system is different from where I live, for instance. But once they get up to speed and you support them and they've grown, you can relax and they will continue to grow that market. So it's the same principle, even if they're in your local market, teach them to be independent. I have a leader with Diamond 7, same as me in the UK, and Masha, most people know her. And she's very independent. She herself has duplicated and raised many leaders. So leadership is everything. We have to duplicate until we have leaders. You can't force people through, but you can encourage. You can, I cajole people, I encourage them, I give them assignments. I learned about giving people assignments early on, because if you're trying to do it all by yourself, you're going to be stressed out. And again, you're not doing your team a favor, because they will not know how to do anything. You're doing it all for them because you're trying to support them, but at the time you have to give tasks and assignments to grow new leaders who can do things even better than you can do. Give them opportunity and they'll keep going. I'm not going to share that, we'll just keep going. Yeah. So the goal for everybody is to get independent of our upline in the shortest possible time. I'm sure we know this. Let's keep going. Leadership is the way to the top, and again, it's what I've talked about, but I'm just going to keep going. There are certain things that we share in my team as leaders. We do all of this collectively. We prospect weekly collectively. So there was a time I was doing the prospecting presentation, but I thought I have to duplicate myself. So I started pairing with Flo, eventually pairing with other leaders, and we bring new people in like that. We get them to pair with an older, more experienced partner to either train or to prospect or to do induction or to do, we celebrate our rank achievers. Used to be weekly, now it's every 2 weeks. We do all these things and we start people with baby steps, expose them to different leadership tasks in the team and see how they get on. Some people will drop, but that's fine. We bring in new people, but we keep the pool of leadership going irrespective of the countries. We have leaders in Ghana, we have leaders in Nigeria, we have leaders in the UK, and we have leaders in the USA. But we use the same strategies to reach our network. We have the same WhatsApp group as well. And when we set up our team meetings, one of the things I started doing early on is we put the different time zones that we have our leaders. So I never use the UK time zone for a training or anything. We always will put the USA, we'll put the Ghana, and we'll put the Nigeria, because that's where I have my leaders. So when you use only, let's say, Nigerian time or USA time, you're excluding people. They have to go and do a check first to see what's the conversion to their local time. So we always put all our meetings in, but something as simple as that makes people feel included. If you are targeting that market, you have to include them to know that it's one team. And we try to structure our training in such a way that the time is comfortable. Like our Sunday presentation is after church time in the USA, so we do it at about 8:30 because we're conscious that there are people in the USA who go to church. 8:30 for CST is about 2:30, so we would have finished church. Otherwise, we'll probably do it earlier. So we try and do all our things. Weekly training, we might not be able to do that on the weekend because to have so many activities. That's the only thing they probably miss out. They will do it, there's a Zoom recording and there's a Facebook where people can go and catch it. It's just being conscious that if you have a global team, how are you going to be able to support your global partners? Not only just cater for people in the same time zone as yourself, be conscious that you have a global team and you need to be able to support each of them irrespective of where they live. They're your team members. Please keep going. Thank you. So I just have this quote. The leadership is communicating to people their worth and potential, so they clearly see, they can see for themselves, come to see it in themselves. True leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. Humble leadership doesn't mean you think less of yourself, it means that you think about yourself less and think of your team more, which is true. You have to think about how best can I support somebody living in the USA. They have a catalog. There was a time we didn't have a catalog here. Flo came in and she immediately created one. They said the problem that you see in a particular country, think about how you can help them solve it. This year we had a series of strategy sessions, and what I did was targeted. So I had a strategy session for Nigeria and Ghana. I had a strategy session for the UK, and I had a strategy session for the USA, because I know that although it's the same Longrich business model, we have local challenges in the different markets. So in order to build those different markets, I had specific strategy sessions with them to understand their specific challenges, and then we all came together at the end to do one big one. So, and before this, the USA also had a meeting with my USA leaders as well to strategize, to understand how we can continue to build the USA market. So it's having that consciousness that there are local differences. Essentially the business is the same, but you want to feel like you understand their pain points and how best you can support them. So let's keep going. I won't dwell on the challenges. We'll just skip to the next slide. We have internal challenges. We have external challenges. If you just keep scrolling on it, not understanding the business, not being prepared to put in the effort to understand the business, not setting yourself targets, so you're not taking actions, the income producing activities in order to earn, not implementing the practical steps provided, the fear of rejection in prospecting, lack of follow-up. That's the core of the matter, the follow-up. If there's one thing that pays more than any other activity is follow-up. Because we leave a lot of money on the table by not following up and by not closing. But if you're able to follow up the people you told about the business, we'll all end. I've learned something from my doctor today that I'm going to go and implement the 30 PV strategy, maintenance. Time management will all suffer from the same lack of time. That's the truth. Most of us are, crazily busy, but we have to find time to do the IPAs, the income producing activities, and the lack of commitment. I always learn something new when I come to training, so I don't joke with it. Let's keep going. Learning, applying, working, but no results yet. I'm not willing to take up leadership. People say they are busy, they don't want to do the leadership tasks. The truth of the matter is, if you're not a leader, you're going to be limited in your growth. You're going to be limited if you're not willing to help your team grow, to help them to prospect, and you're relying on your leaders. It's like you're not taking personal responsibility for your business, which Dr. Iti mentioned earlier. And until you start to, you still limited progress. No matter which country you're in, your progress will be truncated at a point, because your members will not see you as a leader. The person who has the I don't know what to call it, who holds the pen, earns the most. So if you're not upfront training or prospecting, and you're not willing to step up to do those things, your growth will remain very, very limited for a long time, until you start and people start to be inspired. Public speaking is never my thing, but I've learned along the way. I'm a shy person, believe it or not, but Longrich has equipped me to be able to speak in front of people, to be able to do training, because I was willing to take up the challenge. My applied training, the deep end, I was I think a D1, and I started training World Changers, which is SD first team. So you can imagine, very young in business, but I was willing to take up that challenge. So that's the challenge you have to give to other people that you're grooming to be leaders, no matter if they come in as pre-diamond or whatever level. They have skills outside of Longrich, so they can utilize those skills to build their business. So let's keep going. There are external challenges. We'll complain we having active team members. I used to complain. I don't complain anymore. Team members who don't engage in the group, you post, you message them, they ghost you. And what can you do? You'll be calling them, they've already signed up, they bought products, but they just ghost you once they get their products, and you're thinking, what's happening? And I still have that till today. I have people that have signed up even as recent as last month, and they ghosted me subsequently, even with the results that they might see, I've gone to Moody's, I've done X, but they are still ghosting. So that proved very important. Lack of product choice. A lot of people say, we have limited products. We have the same problem with the USA. We have less than 20 products at the moment. We can keep going, delaying product supply. We haven't had for going on 2 years, USA 2, you haven't had that through, no promos in the market, your upline is a different country or different time zone, the training doesn't make sense, too much grammar, price increase in your country. So there's a list of challenges that everybody can resonate with, no matter the country that you're in. The truth is, we all have the same challenge and we can do it. We can grow, even if, like the website said, we have 5 products. The Amoke message that even with the pad, she can grow. So if you have, in Nigeria, I think they started with maybe 3 products, panty liner pad and toothpaste, and yet they have 2 direct to 5s. So the truth is, every market would have these same challenges, but people grow in spite of the challenges. Focus on the IPAs and the growth will come. It's all about the PVs. Let's keep going. So I'm just going to end with this quote. Obstacles don't stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out to climb it, go through it, or walk around it. And Michael Jordan said that. And I know the USA, we're going through a period of slow growth, but we have so much potential in this market. You have a huge population, and Flo said it yesterday. How many people are using the Longrich toothpaste? Yes, it's more expensive, but we have a new idea of how we can sell that product to people. Not necessarily to people to say it's going to solve toothache, but what it can prevent. I got that Rema this afternoon. I was like, wow, I like that. I'm going to use it in my prospecting. What can the toothpaste prevent? What can other products help people to prevent further down the line? So the thing is, obstacles are stepping stones for us in this business. The very reason why you think it's challenging is what you're in there to solve. And the minute you're able to solve it, you have a thriving business. It's 5 o'clock and the no time we fast spent. I think that's the last slide. Amina, is there any other one? Okay. Let's just keep going. I think they've been, keep going. We mentioned it. Yeah. I like that last quote by Thomas Edison. He said this, and I quote, "Our greatest weakness lies in giving up."